impossible God, powerful God, Jesus, impossibility specially. You made a way when there's no way. Open the door when no one could open. Jesus, impossibility specially. Nothing is too hard, oh, too hard, oh. Jesus, impossibility specialist. Nothing is too hard, oh. Jesus, impossibility specialist. My healer when no one could heal. My provider when I'm in need.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome to another edition of the Inside View. After a long break, we've come your way with a more insightful program. You know, as usual, my name is Nana Higgin, and this is your favorite show, the Inside View with Nana. And, tonight, we've started very, very strong with a topic that is really affecting many women and even some men as well. And it's all about, educating us and also raising awareness on postpartum, depression or postnatal depression, yes, in women. And I hope you've all, had a wonderful weekend and also looking forward to another restful week. I would also want to say Happy New Month to anyone that has actually joined us, tonight. And since, tonight is my first episode, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you that has stayed with us up until now. I really cherish your time, your support, the way you share my flyers and everything, just to make sure the Inside View has now become a household name. And I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. From my technical team, from everyone here, we say thank you. And this year, please, continue to support us, continue to share, continue to like, and also continue to, follow. And I mean, trust me, there's more that we can all do together. Um, Tonight we're just going to, raise, awareness on this, topic, like just like I said, and it's so the way we will just, try to reduce and also, mitigate stigma and also ensure access to mental health resources. Just to make sure that steps are taken to support our new parents and also promote healthy family dynamics. So if you have just tuned in, kindly share this link and let's invite more people, to be educated on this sensitive topic. I saw, I think, two videos, I think last year, yes, on Facebook, about, women, that have actually given birth to new babies. And I think one woman just dropped the baby in a latrine. And also, I think one woman also just dumped the baby on the refuse dump. And it was so, so disturbing. And I would say that, because, like in our community, we are not really educated on this sensitive topic. What I saw really actually got me, like I was saying, like into tears. The way they were just harassing these women, beating them, and and also, just subjecting them to ridicule, really, actually, really shook me. And I thought, let me just have a discussion, on this area, because I would say it's a great area, and the way we stigmatize women who actually go through this, depression, it's really very, very alarming. And to help me do that, I have with me an amazing young lady who has actually dedicated her life to help humanity. And she's a general practitioner with a passion for breaking barriers around mental health and creating spaces where women can thrive. She's currently doing her PhD in mental health, psychotherapy, and counseling. She also, combines her medical expertise with advocacy for mental health and public speaking skills to empower, women and provide safe spaces for them. She has mentored over 38 young Black women whom, but, who battle, I'll say, mental health. She's dedicated to fostering connection and growth. Is evident in her work as a founder of Faith and Bloom, a women's Christian ministry aiming to shed light on mental health and help women heal. She hosts events and conferences as founder of this organization with the aim of empowering women to connect, grow, and shine. Tonight, let's welcome Dr. Leslie Boateng-Adu. Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Hiya, hiya. I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Thank you for
I'm blessed.
having me.
I am equally, blessed and humble because knowing how busy you are, and also just making yourself available, to be on my show, to help educate, I would say, the general public on this, sensitive topic. Thank you so much.
Oh
And
no,
we're so proud of you, as a young
thank you.
Black, GP. We say thank you, for raising the banner high.
It's okay. This is
You know,
what I love doing. So thank you for having me and thank you
it's
for
my
this
pleasure.
opportunity. I'm
It's
really,
my
really
pleasure.
grateful. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. We've read, such a beautiful bio, about you, and we just want to know what kind of environment that you grew up in that has shaped the beautiful woman that you are today.
Okay, it's actually fun. That's a good question. So, for many of you that might not know, I was actually born in Sweden, and I grew up. I think that environment is, I would say, especially now having the feeling between living in the UK and living in Sweden, I'd say that the environment in Sweden is actually an environment for family. It's community based, and they genuinely you grew up in love. You don't feel like you are alone in the community, and you feel very safe. I think for me, um, I come from a very loving home, and I think one of those things that it helped me when coming from a loving home was to build confidence. So I've always come from a home where I knew I could be confident, if that makes sense, based on the love that I was given. And I love people and I love listening to people. I love being there for people. Again, I think the community that I grew up with kind of like shaped me for that. The truth to be told, I actually never actually wanted to be a doctor. It's funny, actually. I wanted to be a paramedic. I wanted to be the first point of contact in terms of medical emergencies. And I thought maybe it was when you're a young girl, the dream. I think for me, it was like, seeing them in the green uniform and, wheeling people off into the ambulance. I just found it very nice. Um, but I definitely think that everything that I am doing now, God had a purpose and a reason for me to be here. I applied for unis at the time. All five unis declined me, and they came back to say, because you have good grades, we're unable to pick you. Because at the time that I went uni, you only needed a C to get in. Um, so eventually they were offering me medicine, but I was being stubborn. So I did biomedical science first year. Wasted my time. And then after that, I got two scholarships. I got scholarship from that the first university to my second university, and then from my second university to my third university. And the second and the third, I done medicine. So it was um it was an humbling experience, especially not, coming with a mindset I'm doing medicine and having to do it. But I think in the space of doing it, I've grown great passion for it. I've learned a lot, and I think I am able to advocate for people of my color and people of my gender. And I genuinely love it. I think, especially being able to give voice for the voices that aren't being heard, it's a blessing to me.
Wonderful. So, tonight, if any young girl, I don't want to limit to just, black, girls, or
Yes.
any young girl, actually watching you, feels a bit lost and, does not even, knows what she's on about in life. What do you want to tell, this young girl?
I would say write down a plan, find your strengths, and go for it. Sometimes I think that the young girl, I would say for the younger self, sometimes we feel like if our first plan, or we don't actually have a plan, we don't know where we're going, but sometimes we do know what we want. It's just about taking the bold step. So I would always say to people, especially the young girls that I mentor, write your strengths down and seek advice in that area and see where you can go with those strengths. And you would be so surprised with the things that the people would write down. You think you're really good at this, you're able to go in this area or this area. I'll give an example. I was mentoring a girl, and I think she comes from a family that wants her to go into pharmacy, but she wasn't too sure what she wanted to do. And I spoke to her and I asked her, you don't want to do that. That's fine. What are your strengths? And she remember saying, you know what? I like listening to people. I like English. I like writing a lot. I like debating and arguing. And I said to her, you are able to go into law and you're able to go into politics. And she sat down, she done her research in both areas. And I think last year she graduated as a lawyer. So it's just about writing your strengths down, because we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, and that's perfectly fine. But having a plan based on your strengths will give you structure.
Great. Before we delve into tonight's discussion, I just want to ask, why do we shy away from mental health? You know, as a minority, community or like communities. Why
So
do
I
we find
think
that topic so disturbing that we don't even want to hear the word?
so obviously I come from a country that is called Ghana. My parents are from a country that comes from Ghana. And the little that I have learned and what I have understood, it is I think it is the understanding of it. I think we come from a place where there's not enough information. there's not enough people speaking up about it, shining light about it. I mean, we know about the physical body, being sick physically, but people don't really speak about it mentally. And then there's this stigma about being mentally sick. I think they don't understand the depths of how the mind works psychologically and emotionally. So they think when someone says, maybe I'm feeling anxious or I am depressed, the first thing that they will say is, we don't do that over here. Or maybe, us people of color, we don't have that. Or us people from this certain community, we don't have this. I have seen over and over again, especially in people that I mentor that are from, I would say, from my same skin color, have families or parents say when they're anxious or go into depression, tell them that you're not depressed. But actually, they can tell that there is something, but it's about accepting it, and for them to seek help is it's the shame that they will get behind it, saying that maybe my daughter or my son is depressed, my daughter or my son suffers from anxiety. And for, again, dealing from people from my background, I've realized that it's not also only about what people will say, but they say that it will go on their records. They don't want their child to be tagged as mental health or having depression, so we shy away from getting help, and we deal with everything spiritually. And me, again, being a Christian, and as you mentioned, I have a Christian ministry called Faith and Belief. Again, I think it's understand that there's things that we tackle spiritually, but physically, there's also things that we tackle physically and mentally, and it must be dealt with. So I think we shy away from it because of lack of resources, lack of information and understanding, and the stigma behind it, because people will point fingers at you saying, oh, your child has mental health, and it's like they use it to mock you. But it is better to seek help than wait for it to get worse.
Wonderful. And so tonight, we are talking about postpartum, depression or postnatal depression. What at all is postpartum, like depression or postnatal depression?
So postpartum or postnatal postpartum depression is normally after a woman's just had their baby, and they feel a bit down. I would say it's a depression for women that have just had their babies, basically. And I need to shed light to make you guys understand that most women who give birth after two days to 2 weeks, they have something called postpartum blues. Those are normal. It's okay. And they can last about, like I said, 2 to 2 weeks. And sometimes it's due to your hormones fluctuating. And this can give you about different various symptoms, and it can make you feel sad, overwhelmed, irritated, or angry. But it's because your hormones are fluctuating. It's important to understand you've just pushed out a baby. You might have had a emergency C-section, or it just depends. Everyone is very different, especially when you have a care plan and it says that you're going to deliver this time. This is how your labor is going. But sometimes it doesn't go according to plan. That itself can give a lot of stress onto your body, causing your hormones to fluctuate. About 85% of women will experience the postpartum blues. But bear in mind, it lasts from 2 days to 2 weeks, which is normal. You will feel, not yourself. You will be a bit sad. You feel irritated or angry. However, if you have these symptoms lasting longer than 2 weeks, then that is postnatal or postpartum depressions. And these symptoms are basically feeling moody, being unable to look after your baby, unable to sleep or oversleeping, neglecting the baby, having suicidal thoughts, intrusive thoughts such as harming the baby, or it could include such as like some people would want to throw the baby or leave the baby or run away. It also includes lack of hygiene, unable to eat, and constantly living in fear.
Tonight I just want anyone that has joined us, please share this conversation. We want to save lives. We don't want to see our women just leaving their babies unattended to. We don't want society to start beating up these women, because for them they are not even in their rights. Headspace. They don't even know what you're doing. So just to mitigate all these stigmas I'm just urging each and everyone to please share this conversation. We want to, educate more women so that they can seek help. During their pregnancy, I would say journey, we want more women to be aware of this condition that it's normal, and so I would say knowledge is power. So
Yes.
once you are educated and you experience these symptoms, you can seek help. Thank you. Please share. I'm begging you, share this conversation and let this conversation go far. Thank you. So, Dr. Leslie, how is postpartum diagnosed?
Sure. So I can explain. So the causes again for postnatal or postpartum depression, it's important to understand that it affects about 1 in 8 women. They suffer from it. However, the figures do show that 20% of Black women are affected more than any other race, which means that, let's say, even if you have 5 women in the room, three of them, if the 3 of them are Black, they have postnatal or postpartum depression. And to me, that number is very high. I think it's a very high number that it is overlooked on a daily. Again, I did mention that changes to your hormones, such as estrogen and progesterone. So those are the 2 hormones that we basically have. I won't go too much into the science, but estrogen is basically what makes a woman, it's the hormones, and then progesterone is kind of like another hormone that's basically the male hormone, but us women also carry it. But sometimes if we have too much of one and not one or the other, that can also cause our hormones to fluctuate to make us go into postpartum depression. Um, Again, you can also have postpartum depression if you come from a history, or you have a history of mental health, such as anxiety and depression. And I I emphasize on these two so much because, again, another 35% of Black African women suffer from depression or anxiety but don't speak about it. So, already, when you have this, you are at risk at having postpartum depression. Um, 35% of women who also have suffer from bipolar disorder or depression are also more likely to have postpartum depression. Now, you can also have postpartum depression. Maybe if you come from a stressful event, maybe you lost a job, lost a loved one, maybe lack of support from family or friends. It could be physical or psychological trauma, like domestic violence. So maybe you are in a relationship, in a marriage, or in a household where you're being abused, or there's a lot of violence. All of these stress can contribute in having a postpartum depression. Some research also says that there's some sort of genetic prediction of certain group of people who are likely to have postpartum depression. However, I feel like that argument isn't as strong as anyone I could kind of like press down on. And one of the signs of someone having a postpartum depression, I think, which is very high, is them having lack of sleep. You can imagine if you've just had a baby, and maybe you've been in labor for, let's say, 24 hours, 48 hours, or you've had a complicated labor and you've come home and you aren't able to sleep, or you feel like you lack support, or nobody's stepping in to actually help you. You can imagine the toll it takes on you mentally and physically. I mean, I say this to myself: if I have a rough day at work, or even in my environment for the whole week, just physically and mentally, I am so drained. And if I don't rest, I wonder like what would happen to my body. So it's important to understand that if you have just had a baby, it's important to try rest. Again, if you do not have the right support, the right community, because not everybody has a family to support them, not
Sure.
everybody have friends to support them. There are support groups for women that are about to have babies, or have had babies, that they will be able to support you. It is important to seek help. You never have to feel like you are alone. I also want to touch on another thing, that there's postpartum psychosis. Um, I want to let you guys know that there's postpartum depression and there's postpartum psychosis. Postpartum psychosis is psychotherapy or psychiatric emergency, and it really needs an immediate medical attention. Postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, it affects about, which is quite, it's a small number because not a lot of people are reporting it, but it's about 0.1%. However, this number rises to about 30% more to those that have bipolar. So if you're someone that has a bipolar disorder, you are more likely to have postpartum psychosis. And this postpartum psychosis can happen anything between 3 to 4 days or even a week of having a baby. And the symptoms are confusion, in and out of consciousness, disorganized behavior, hallucination or being delusional, suicidal thoughts, feeling paranoid, suspicious, or even fearful. So I think again, for me, we speak about postpartum depression a lot, and I think we are very much aware of what the symptoms are. But from what I've seen, I think a lot more people are suffering from postpartum psychosis. And I will get into that later. But postpartum psychosis, it's a very urgent matter. So is postpartum depression, but postpartum psychosis is like the peak of your depression, which kicks in straight away. Instead of where postpartum depression is a gradual thing, you can feel like that for a week or two and then it stays. Postpartum psychosis, it comes on onset, with the delusions, the hallucination, the suicidal thoughts, wanting to kill or harm your baby. Sometimes they hear, this hallucination, they see or hear things that aren't there and they act out of character. It's very important to understand that a lot of women go through these things, and sometimes they feel this but they try to suppress their feelings because of the fear of what people will think or what people will say. I do also want to mention that postnatal postpartum depression in Africa, um people remain silent about it in Africa. And I mentioned this in Africa is because I did one of my research recently. And again, the reason why they stay silent is because of the stigma, the fear of people mocking them, the fear of people laughing at them. And just between 2021 to 2023, and this again is not all of the figures recorded, because of the silence, it contributed to 2,160 babies being abandoned. And this is just what has been recorded. I like to emphasize that because I know that there's definitely more. I know. But this is what we have been able to capture. But just from 2021 to 2023. So I can't imagine what the figures are looking at today. Additionally, 43% of African women experience postpartum psychosis and severe mental health, which in this case, it does lead to them, killing their babies.
Okay, hold on a minute. I mean, sorry to interject at this
No, it's
point.
fine.
As dangerous as this condition is, why haven't we, actually included this information
Mhm,
in our brochures, in our
mhm,
literature,
mhm.
to pregnant women, especially in Africa, for them to be aware of this condition? Because I am stunned, honestly, by listening to the statistics they actually, giving us tonight,
Mhm.
and I'm not too sure that many women, especially the black women, out
Yeah.
especially in Africa, are privy to this information.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like moving forward, what can we do to make the Ministry of Health, be held accountable, especially making this information available to you know to our pregnant women. What can we
Perfect.
do? Yeah.
I think it's to raise awareness.
Mm.
This is not the exact same thing, but I will give an example. We all know that sickle cell is a black man disease, and I
Yeah.
say this all the time. Um, and there's actually lack of information in sickle cell. This is because of the lack of research, and because again, us black people don't really speak up when we are going through stuff. So someone has a child who's suffering from sickle cell, you don't speak about it. We deal with it in private, so nobody knows. So then it doesn't shine light. So you have kids that are black and they leave maybe from Southeast London and they go to somewhere in Kent or Essex to go to university and they suffer from sickle cell. And then they go to the accident emergency unit and they have no idea what sickle cell is. So they let them wait in the emergency waiting area for about 4 or 5 hours, and their children are in pain until maybe a doctor there that understands the condition, takes them in and tries to help them. But now, recently, the younger generation are rising up and they are shedding light on sickle cell in every aspect possible. They're using their TikTok, they're using their Facebook, they're using their Instagram, they're using their Snapchat, everything they can to share and raise awareness of this condition. And just recently, a treatment has been accepted, or they found a treatment to help sickle cell. So it's all about raising awareness, speaking about it. Um, as I would say to people, be the change that you or
You want to
you require to be or you want to see.
yes.
Um, one thing my mom normally tells me is that a closed mouth is a closed destiny.
Sure.
So if you're suffering from something or you're going through something, raise awareness. It's not only about you, but it's for the generations to come.
Mm.
And I think for me, postpartum psychosis is something all of us should stand together and raise awareness. If we come together, I promise you that there will be more light shed on it. Because I think one of the reasons why it is put to the side is because they say that it affects 0.1%. But this 0.1% people are only a few people reporting it. What about those that aren't coming out to speak? We must start to speak up. It is important. Use your voice to speak up.
Oh. As a people, I think we need to start talking.
Yeah.
And, I'll say that conversations like these are so important that please let's use our social media for more important things. It's good to have entertainment, from time, but let us start getting serious, with some of these important topics. And I feel so sad, especially for
Yeah.
women who have
Yeah.
actually lost their children, or
Yeah.
I mean, something that
It's,
sorry,
it's it's a no, it's fine. It's a very emotional thing. And
yeah,
being on that topic, like you're saying, 29% of infant deaths in Africa is linked to postpartum psychosis.
and then you should
Because
see how they treat such women.
yes,
You'll be shocked.
it's like they say to them
Yeah,
that you're not nice, you're
which
wicked,
yeah, yeah, they
you're a
brag about.
witch.
Yes,
How
this.
can you do this?
Mm,
And I remember seeing a video a couple of years ago, and there was a woman, I think she's gone to put her baby somewhere, I don't know, in a place, and they went back to look. They basically saw the baby, but you can tell looking at the woman, they're accusing her, beating her up. She mentally, she's no longer in her body.
yeah.
She's not there. She's just staring into space. She's not reacting to anything. But they're constantly attacking her, constantly attacking her.
So, in this situation, how can we educate, partners or even family members on the sound?
Hmm.
I know you've mentioned a few signs and symptoms, here and
Hmm.
there, but just for a layperson, what are some of the things that they can actually look out for when they see that such women are going through, these symptoms and signs?
Sure.
What are the simple things that they can, yeah?
So I think especially to help a friend or even a partner that you believe is going through postpartum depression or psychosis is to listen to them. Be there for them. Give your listening ear to them. One thing I've also noticed is that a lot of people, so when I have therapy and people come in and they speak about postpartum depression, anxiety, whatever it is that they come and speak about, they actually just want you to listen. They don't want you to be, jumping into conclusions straight away.
Mm.
sometimes we are there to listen to people, but we've already got our answer before they finished. We know what we're about to tell them because we know what they're going through. So maybe we'll say, you know what, yeah, just push yourself, or maybe do this, but maybe just in that instance, all they want you to do is listen to them and just be there for them. So giving your listening ear to someone that's going through postnatal, postpartum, depression, or psychosis, please listen to them. And you can provide practical support. This could be helping with their baby, cooking for them, cleaning, or just to help them ease their daily stress. Because if you're helping them with their baby, especially, that means that they're able to rest. So, them feeling anxious or feeling depressed, by the time they rest, they're able to reboot their energy and feel a bit better. Also, encourage them to rest. Help them get enough rest and downtime. Because what I've noticed again is that because they're going through this depression phase with postpartum or natal, they have this guilt of going to sleep. So you're telling them, just take a sleep, go to bed, just go to bed, I have it. And they can't sleep, but it's not because they don't want to. But it's the guilt of, I'm abandoning my baby, I'm not being there with my baby, I'm supposed to spend time with my baby, I'm meant to do skin to skin with my baby. So there's a lot of guilt going on. They feel like maybe constantly someone else is feeding the baby, constantly someone else is looking after the baby, and they're unable to do it. So you must encourage them, tell them it is okay. I am here for you, baby is okay. Just making them feel, reassure them that you are there for them and they need the rest and it is okay for them to rest. Support them with their nutrition, so provide them meals that can nourish their bodies. This could include fruits or vegetables. If it gets to a point where you notice that they aren't getting better, it is important to seek help on their behalf if they are struggling to seek help or to seek assistance for themselves. Help them seek professional help. You are also able to consult your health advisor, so your first point of contact, your GP. If a family or friend is not available, which I mentioned earlier, for example, if you generally feel like you don't have a community, seek help from your health providers. There's actually local support groups for mothers who are actually experiencing postnatal depression. There's also help for new mothers. So maybe you're just about to, give birth and you feel like you need support. There are actually new baby mums groups and stuff. But I think the main thing is to encourage people who are actually going through postpartum depression to let them that it's okay to rest. I think rest is essential, very essential. I saw something on social media 2 days ago. There's a lady that's just gave birth and she's into hair. And she gave birth maybe a Tuesday. On Thursday, she was back at working. And she's in Nigeria. And people in the comments are saying, rest, do this, rest, etc. Rest. But her mindset is that if I rest, how will I feed my child?
Yeah, yeah.
So you can imagine mentally, she's just pushing. And soon, what will happen is that her mind might fail her because there's no more strength anymore. She needs to rest. And she's on social media and she's constantly saying, and people in the comments are saying rest. And she literally said, I have bills. That's what she's responding to everyone and said, I have bills, I must pay this. I don't know what to do. It's a very sad that people can't seek help or aren't able to speak up. But I think it's very, very important to seek help. So one of the things I normally say is that if you feel like you have any symptoms that mirrors postnatal or postpartum depression, seek help immediately. Don't wait, say, I'll wait till tomorrow. The moment you realize that actually, I think my symptoms are postnatal depression, seek help. Reach out to your GP, your midwife, family, friends, even church for support. Just seek help. It's so important. And also, one of the things that I would say is to follow medical advice. If you're seeking help and for example you've spoken to your GP and they've said, take antidepressants or any other treatments recommended, please take it. I'm shining light on this is because again, people come into my therapy sessions and they say, they gave birth 6 months ago. and they felt like they're in this bubble for a very long time. They aren't able to come out. They cry a lot. They're constantly sad. They aren't able to eat. They don't know what to do. And they said that they've seen their GP, but they were given antidepressants. But they've chosen not to take it because of the side effects of antidepressants. Now, it's important to understand that antidepressants does have side effects, but I think so does everything that we take. I say this to everyone. Just drinking a lot of water can wash away all the good cells in your body, right? But we need it. It's the same thing with antidepressants. If you have reached a point where you are no longer able to function, then I think the antidepressant medications is very essential for you. You need that extra boost to be able to take care of yourself and take care of your newborn child and actually feel yourself again. The figures show that people that took the help needed and the prescribed medication, 68% of them bounced back in the space of 3 weeks.
Wow. So what are the differential, diagnosis that should be
So
considered? Okay, sorry. Okay, so you
no,
can.
that's fine. That's
No, carry on. I thought
fine.
maybe,
No. So
okay.
I think again, people one of the I would say one of the diagnoses that they would, again, they would go is that maybe you aren't able to sleep.
Mhm.
And and I say to people, sleep is the root cause of lack of sleep is the root cause of anxiety. You don't sleep, you don't sleep, you don't sleep. After a while, you're in your head, you're trying to remember or recall, have I done this? Have I done that? Did I do this? I said I was going to action this today. Was I able to do it? You start to think of so many different things, and the anxiety keeps growing. So a lot of people are being diagnosed of anxiety when it comes to postnatal depression.
Mm.
And I say to people that anxiety is a silent killer. And I always refer anxiety to cholesterol. We all know that cholesterol is also a silent killer. You will never know if you have high cholesterol unless you do a blood test,
Mhm.
because you won't really. But with cholesterol, you won't really feel like you're sick. It's not like, you feel like, oh, something is wrong. I think it might be my cholesterol. You might just do a general, full body blood test, and then you find out you have high cholesterol, and they might put you on medication. With anxiety, is the same thing. It's a silent killer. A lot of people suffer from anxiety. They don't know that they're suffering from it. They just think, oh, I'm a shy person. I'm scared of this. I don't want to go into this environment because I am scared. But actually, it's anxiety. So a lot of people are being diagnosed of anxiety when it comes to postpartum depression and being placed on antidepressants. Depression is also one of the root causes. Again, anxiety comes and then depression follows. So it's like it's just, we all know it. So what we normally do is when I'm at work, if we look at a history of someone saying that maybe they went through anxiety in 2019, and then we look at 2020, they're still anxious, they still have anxiety, and they're still on medication. I know that when I look at their records in 2023, they're depressed. I just know. I just know it's coming. So if you don't tackle one thing, it leads to another. And then from the depression, it goes into psychosis. So again, the biggest diagnosis for postpartum depression to be on antidepressants is because of the anxiety.
Okay, this is a bit different from, what you're talking about. But I just want to know, having been diagnosed of, depression, anxiety, when you have such, diagnosis on your medical records, does it really affect you? Because, as a Black community, we don't even want to hear that word. So it's not, like being a GP. I just want to know, does it really affect your chances of getting certain jobs?
No,
Or
it
just the word
honestly
itself?
it doesn't. Again, you can't discriminate someone because they suffer from anxiety or depression. Of course, please understand that if there is on the record that you have depression, anxiety, but you aren't taking your medications, then of course you're likely not to get the job. But the fact that they all know that you're in treatment and you're okay and you're well behaved, is not a problem at all. And funny enough, if you suffer from anxiety and depression and it's on your record, you actually get more help. you are actually able to take more days off than anyone else is. You are actually able that there's so many help and so many resources, so many support groups. There's so much that your job, your work environment is able to do for you than any other person. So one of the things that we look at, I'm probably sure that some of you might know that, you know, if you go to work and you feeling like you're overwhelmed or you're anxious, they refer to occupational therapist within your job, if your job has that. Especially if you work within the NHS, they will refer you to occupational health therapist. They will speak to you, they will see what it is, what diagnosis, and they will allow you to get time off. You're allowed to take the time off. If this is what's happening to you, they will give you 3 months. They'll give you 6 months. What they can do is, even if you someone that have to go into office every day, they'll tell you, you know what? I think it's better you come in one day in the office and do 4 days at home. There's so many ways that they can work with you and to support you. And that is okay. It's okay to open up. It's okay to get the help. And it will not affect you because it's on your record. Actually, it being on the record gives you more grace, because being in a work environment, again, like I mentioned, is a very stressful environment, and not every day is the same within your environment. And what happens if one day you're in your work environment, you've never disclosed that you are depressed, you're never disclosed that you have anxiety, and one day the workload is too much and you tick off? You're at higher risk of losing your job there than having to secure your back prior to getting into the job.
Okay. I've seen some questions actually coming in, but before we answer your question, Mercy, yeah, let me just ask this question. So, what are the differential, diagnoses that should be considered when evaluating postpartum depression?
Okay. So what, for example, speaking of myself, when they come in, if someone's coming, because again, I mention that one of the treatments that you can get, again, when you are feeling like you've got postnatal postpartum depression, is therapy. So you come into the therapy sessions that we speak to you, and one of the things that we start off with, distinctive diagnosis is a lot of sadness as well. So we start to say, okay, you're sad. And then we ask you, how many times have you felt, how long have you felt like that? One day in a week is okay. It could be the postpartum blues that I mentioned earlier. I mean, it's okay. You're still trying to process your body. But if you've seen that, you're telling me that you felt like this for 1 month to 2 months straight, yeah, you have postpartum depression. You are constantly angry, you're constantly raging, you're constantly frustrated. And it's not like, again, I speak about the female hormone is a very complex issue. And it's the same way as postpartum depression. It's actually a very complex diagnosis, because sometimes you can diagnose a woman and say that they've got postpartum depression, but it could have been something complete different. But our hormones itself is a very complex conversation. And I say this because even looking at women from the age of 50 plus, when they hit menopause, here comes all the, some people go into depression, some people go into anxiety because their hormones are fluctuating. They become more angry, more anxious, more agitated, more angry. But we check all of these things before we diagnose you with postpartum depression. So we ask, how have you been, concentrating? So they'll come in, they will ask them a few questions, concentrating, um, holding a conversation. Women with postpartum depression, you realize that they zone out. They speak to you, but they're not. Then they'll say, they might say, "Huh? What did you say? Or could you repeat it?" But you've said it wasn't like you spoke fast, or they're just not there. You will realize that they will not take a shower for a certain. So you ask them, they might say that I have a fear of going into the shower. Just taking a bath scares me. And you ask them, when did it start? And they might tell you 3 days after I had the baby, or maybe when I went home. So maybe after 3 weeks, I noticed that it was a consistent behavior. I had a patient actually, and she came in for therapy, and she said that she noticed that she had postpartum depression when she got home, and her family asked her, after a day or so, can you please take a shower? And she went in, and she said she purposely opened the tap and she sat there. She didn't take the shower. She said just hearing the water running actually put her into fear. So every time what she was doing, she was going in there and doing the same thing. So everyone thought she was having a shower, constantly going in there. And she realized that there's something wrong because she herself noticed that she's someone that likes to take showers. She wants to be clean. But it was that she was unable to bring herself to do it. And again, because she comes from an African background, to be able to open up and say, this is what I'm going through, they're going to tell her that, oh, maybe you're lazy or your hygiene is not good or that's disgusting. They won't encourage
Yeah.
her. She never mentioned anything to anyone. She went straight up to the GP and then they referred her to therapy. Until today, I'm unsure if her family members even know that that is what she was going through. But this is just one in, let's say, 10 that was able to do it for herself. So what if you're unable to do it for yourself? And this is why I say community is so important. If you have a wife, a friend, a partner that has just had a baby, check in on them when they're in the shower. Just knock. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Just make sure that they are, you show them that you are here for them and they are able to lean on your shoulder. Um, I think again, I keep emphasizing on the community, but a lot of the females that come, they have a lot of people around them, but they just don't feel like they're seen. Everyone's here for their own reasons, for the baby, or because they have to be there. But you've never actually checked on me to make sure that I am okay. Um, so we diagnose them a lot based on certain steps, patterns, but it comes by opening questions. They begin to open up themselves, and you realize that they've spoken more with you than anyone at home.
Great. Do you think society has changed so much? Because I think growing up, you have your. I think I quite remember when mothers actually have their children, they have their mothers. Even sometimes grandparents, just coming over to support, in looking after children. Do you think we have evolved to that point that now it's like when you have your children, it's just you and your partner, and also like this I'll say there isn't that communal um, thing actually going on, like it used to be. Do you think that has also contributed to this spike in this PPD?
Yes, I agree. Yes, I definitely agree. I think everyone's very much to themselves now. Because even looking at, even like I mentioned, at the woman in Nigeria, you would think that maybe she's in Africa, there would be a lot of people to help, but it's like you're on your own, basically. I think now people are having babies. There's no family member staying with you anymore. It's like you and your husband, you and your partner looking after the baby, making sure everything's okay. And sometimes it's not that the men aren't supportive, they just don't understand. And truth of the matter is they will never understand. There are some men that are more willing to understand. They're willing to give more of their listening and they're willing to help a bit more. Some men don't understand. They don't know what that you've gone through. They don't understand how it feels to carry a baby, basically. They will never understand. Now, going into this conversation, I want you to understand that even as a woman, one of the things that we have also found is that when your wife or your partner is pregnant, sometimes even the pregnancy hormones can transfer to the partner. So these hormones of craving, constantly feeling tired, constantly feeling nauseous, is possible to transfer over to the partner. The same way with postpartum depression, your partner is able to get that as well. But again, it's a bit complex with men because they are more of, they will fight through it. They're not going to discuss it. So it's like if both of you guys are feeling the exact same thing and no one is communicating effectively, that might hinder both of you lot from getting the help that is needed. And that's why I always encourage people when they come in, I say, you and your partner must communicate. If today means that you will go home and you will tell them everything you feel, even if you still do not get the support you're looking for, one thing you have done for yourself is advocate for yourself. You have spoken out, you have told them how you feel and what you're going through. That is all that matters. After that, if you realize that nothing changes, then you know that you seek external help. And that's anything outside the hospitals, your midwives, whoever you can go to, you go there. But we must speak and communicate effectively in our relationships with our partners, because sometimes there are things that are missed. And again, like I said, in my therapy sessions, I realized that they're telling me things they've never told their partner before. So what happens is that I do therapy sessions with them. Then we ask if we're able to bring the partners in, maybe the third or fourth session, and they some say yes, some say no. And when the partners come, they're very shocked that that is how they've been feeling.
Wow.
Advocate for yourself.
Hmm.
It's
Just
very
to add to
important.
what you just said, I was also stunned. I think I did postpartum in men, and I
Mhm.
was actually stunned to find out that the reasons why men leave their partners right after they've given birth was also due to this. So a lot of single parenting that we see around, that we do blame men for. Some of them go postpartum, but unfortunately, we've not been educated to that point where
Mhm.
men can feel confident to talk
Yes.
about what they go through as well. So
Yes.
I think like in moving forward, I think we need a proper education
Yeah.
on this area, so that sometimes we can also help our men
Yeah.
stay home. Yeah, yeah, as well.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. So what are the risk factors associated with postpartum, depression?
So I will speak about a little bit of postpartum or postnatal psychosis. Again, if you're someone who's experiencing the symptoms of postpartum psychosis, which I mentioned is like hallucinating, being delusional, being a lot anxious, being very extremely aggressive, it is important to seek urgent help. And I'm not saying like today's Saturday, you say, I'll call the GP on Monday. No, go to the A&E, accident and emergency immediately, because most women will then be admitted into the hospital, and they'll be placed in the MBU, which is the mother and baby unit, for which is specialized for psychosis or psychotherapy help for people with babies, basically. And the treatment is typically an antipsychotic medication or a mood stabilizer to help manage the symptoms and help support the recovery. However, it is important to understand that some people might have to have both because they have reached the peak where one might not work. So they might need both. And that's okay to accept. You can still breastfeed your baby, you can still look after your baby. It's fine. I also want to say one thing, that if you are ever feeling like you have any range, so you are constantly angry when you hear your baby cry, every noise that your baby makes you angry, just place your baby at a safe space. If it means at home, place them in a cot, locked, leave the house, lock the door, and call 999. I say this with all my heart. It's just important, because if you do not, and the moment the baby is aggravating you and making you angry, you are at risk of harming your baby. I saw a woman as well on social media, and she said she had postpartum psychosis. It started off postpartum depression. It was like a bit of the blues. It wasn't too bad, and it just went rapid. So it went from 1 day postpartum blues, 2 days, and then she had the psychosis kicking straight away. I said she had been having the feeling of wanting to harm her baby, wanting to harm her baby, wanting to harm her baby. So one day, what did she do? She put herself, her baby, and her husband in the car, and she drove into another neighbor's wall, so that with full speed, so that they can all die. And the baby did not die, neither did the husband, or neither did she. But she's been having these thoughts for so long that she could have had precautions. She could have said, you know what, I'm not driving. I'm putting my baby in a safe space, and I'm going to seek medical attention. Now, what's sad for her is that because she's gone to that point where she actually almost harmed her and her husband, her baby is now being taken out of their sight until they feel like she's capable of looking after her baby. But if you seek immediate attention, you and your baby will be together. Nobody will take your baby, because they're giving you medication to get better anyway, and you will get better. But if you are avoiding the help, then yeah, you are at risk of harming your baby, and they will take away your baby. And that's what they say, that the sooner the better. Seek help. Seek help. Is sometimes I say to people, it's not even about what people will say around you or what people will even speak of you. It's about yourself, because you know that you're not the person that you currently are or what you're feeling. It's not your fault. So I'm literally holding you lot's hand right now, as every single woman. I am begging you. The moment you feel like the thoughts in your thoughts are no longer you and there's something else occupying that space, seek help. You don't have to go to a family member. Just seek help. I think the quicker we seek help, the better it is. I remember when I was in Sweden. It's funny that I remember this. My mom's probably gonna laugh because she's listening. I was 5, and I remember that we had I did mention that in Sweden it's very much a community, and we had a neighbor, which is so weird. So we all played together as children. We had a neighbor, and she had just given birth not long ago, and she was actually white. And we'd go to her, I don't know why, and she would sit down with us, and she would speak to us. And she had postpartum depression because I believe they had taken her baby away, and she was speaking to us. But the way she would relate to us was very much as a child. She wasn't there. And growing up, I realized that on my day, she actually had postpartum depression, and that's why her baby was never with her. And they had left her. But in Sweden, what they'll do is they will take care of you. They will look after, they'll give you space to heal, they'll put you on medication. Nurses will come and check on you at home. They will give you that care, even to the point where you can stay at home for 2 years after having a baby and you will be paid. Not in the UK, but in Sweden, they will do that because mentally, they need the woman or the mother of the baby to be emotionally, psychologically, and mentally well before returning back to work. But looking at the woman at the time, the way she would relate with us and laugh with us, there was nobody in that house at that time. And it's funny now that I think about it, she wasn't there, but she was getting the help that she needed. And that's all that matters. I'm literally urging everyone, if you know someone or if you've ever felt or you think you have felt, because sometimes people feel like that with their firstborn, but they're able to get through it and feel better. And then they say, I'm going to go through it again and I won't speak about it. I'll keep quiet. But then sometimes the second child can make it even worse.
Wow. Hmm. Tonight I've been educated on you know I know I did my own the research and everything, but listening to you has even highlighted what I read, and also I would say it has actually made more sense to me, and I know that anybody listening to us also is being empowered tonight. Let us actually look out for each other. It's
Yeah.
also important. So Dr. Leslie, in moving forward, do you think it's possible to screen um, depressive symptoms, in women during pregnancy? Is it possible to have that done?
So right, so I think what's happening now is that what I think in general, I mean, we all know that science is evolving. There's a lot of different things that's coming up, and I think they're trying to see signs early. Again, the problem is with depression in general is that unless you mention that you're feeling like this, we will never know. So it's not like, maybe normally if you're physically you're unwell, we take, blood test or, do all these physical body health checks for you. With depression is more mentally. So it's like we have to assess you as we speak. But you can only be assessed if you come. And a lot of people are also very good at hiding. So, they might come to their appointments. You ask them, are you okay? How are you feeling? They'll tell you they're okay. But they know what they're really going through. So I think what we're trying to do, especially in the mental health aspect, again, is for people to speak up, create, communities that makes people feel safe to speak up. And just even simple as your platform like this, shedding light for people with postpartum depression is a big one. And I think it's such a blessing. And I definitely believe that whoever that's listening today or watching today will be blessed because they're able to listen and they're able to hear. Um, but I think more of these things would be very essential. More people advocating for women. And again, even if it means that they can't come, they don't want to come, you know, to the hospital or to the GP to seek for help, just as women, can we just be there for each other? I always say that as women, our biggest enemy is ourselves. We speak
Yeah.
about women empowerment. It's important to be this and empowering another woman. And the moment you see another woman doing better than you, you're not interested.
I keep saying it.
Yeah,
I think sometimes it's just a facade. I mean, trust
yes,
me, they
exactly.
hide behind that women empowerment thing for
Exactly.
their personal agenda.
Thank
But
you.
most of the time, when you get closer to them,
They're not
they
interested. They
hold
don't
you.
want to know you.
No.
That, like you're saying, it's literally for show,
Yeah.
and then we close that chapter. But to be there for another, for me, I love it when someone comes to me for help and I'm able to help, because one, it means you trust me.
Yeah.
Two, it means you know that I will be there for you. And I'm very grateful for you to be able to trust me. And again, as a Christian, just being there for someone is a blessing in itself. And I never know when I might need help from someone in any different aspects of my own life. So I think it's important to understand that we need each other. We are the only ones that, especially in this area, postpartum depression, that will understand each other. And I always say that, I would say, for example, there's some people that have gone ahead of me that have had babies and might have had postpartum depression or some sort of symptoms that I've never had. But maybe when I go into that aspect and when I'm ready to have babies, I would be able to seek counsel or wisdom from someone else that has gone through it. So it's important for us to stick like this. Community, sisterhood is so important. It's so important.
And even our men as well, to
Yes,
be on this because, I mean, like we don't want to have like repetitive cycles of single parenting, especially if the men are the ones actually going through this PPD and have no clue as to what they are even feeling. And yeah, so I'm thinking this is something that needs to be highlighted more.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I know you've mentioned a few interventions here and there, but then what do you think of how to manage or even treat postpartum depression? I mean, how can we manage it, and also how can we treat it? Maybe like in the long term,
In the long
but
term, I
even the
think,
short term as well.
yep, I think it's important. Um, especially our people of color, but it's important to have regular exercise. Please, I'm not saying go and run. I'm not telling you to go and jump. No, but going for a walk. It's important. It regulates your mood, because I don't know. One of the things that I speak about a lot, if I take out postpartum depression and I just speak about depression and anxiety or being stressed, it's like if I'm working my 9 to 5 and I'm stressed. The moment I shut my laptop, I no longer feel stressed because of the change of the environment. If you feel overwhelmed at home, maybe because of the baby or adjusting to your new role, fitting in a regular 10 minutes or 15 minutes of a walk up from away from home makes a big difference. It allows your mind to relax. It allows you to have the peace and quiet that you're seeking. Fresh air as well is very important. Also to maintain a healthy diet, I think I mentioned as well. But eating healthy foods like fruits itself is important. It has good nutrition for you and for the baby as well, especially if you're breastfeeding. Staying hydrated. Staying hydrated, because a lot of people that go into postpartum depression lack eating, lack drinking, and is hydrated. Already, there are some studies that show that when you are dehydrated, that can also spike up anxiety.
Oh,
So it's important to be hydrated. Drink water is your best friend. Drink it as much as you need to. I think another thing is to remove yourself from any toxic environment. If possible, distance yourself from unhealthy relationships or situations. So it could be your marriage, it could be your relationship, even family. Sometimes you live in a household or you have family members that are toxic. Remove yourself for the sake of yourself or for the sake of your baby. Take that bold step and remove yourself. Taking supplements like magnesium. taking vitamin D. Magnesium actually helps, regulate your hormones, helps you regulate your sleeping pattern. So if especially if you're someone that you aren't able to sleep as regularly, magnesium will help, especially magnesium glycinate. It will really help you a lot. Taking vitamin D, again, being out of the sun quite a lot, and we lack vitamin D, but vitamin D is an essential vitamin for your bones, and your bones, like just your mind itself. So that's very important. Taking B complex is also very important. That's another vitamin. I mentioned all these medications, but taking B complex is also important. A lot of women that have just had babies, again, there's a lot of energy that they've lost. They've lost a lot of blood. B complex will help you put out all the nutrients, and we don't actually get B complex from food. So taking that B complex will also make a drastic change in your hormones as well. Another thing I would also say again is to do things that you enjoy. What is it that you enjoy? It's okay to have me time, even if your baby is a week or two and you need me time, take it. Because maybe it means that if you lose me time, that might cause you a long-term depression. Then do me time. Schedule it in, even if it's 20 minutes. Say on a Thursday, 20 minutes, I'm doing this. Some people enjoy cooking. Some people enjoy reading. Some people enjoy listening to podcasts, watching movies. Do that for yourself. Make yourself happy.
Wonderful. You made mention of breastfeeding, and I think during my research, I read something. It says exclusive breastfeeding has a positive effect on reducing depressive symptoms from
Yeah.
childbirth to 3 months. How far is true? Because
So
some women, who can't, naturally breastfeed.
breastfeed, yeah.
I can use myself, like as an example. I couldn't breastfeed. No matter
Hmm.
how, I tried, I couldn't. I would try to express, but I could just have
A little bit.
just a little bit.
Hmm.
So, how far is this true?
So what it is that, again, breast milk is a production of your hormones. So, when people actually, for example, start to breastfeed and they stop, they get very tender breast, they can get fever, they get very sick, just a lot of things. It can also lead into a whole different psychosis as well. So what we're initially saying is that when you release it, it actually might be able to release all the depression or the anxiety that you're feeling, and it allows you to be calm. However, it's not for everyone. Again, like you mentioned, I actually know a lot of people that haven't breastfed and they're perfectly fine. They didn't have all of the stuff that we say, the cons, I would say. I think again it's the same thing with have going into having your baby. Everyone's experience is different. Everyone has things, but it's just important to know that if you're able to breastfeed without because that's another thing. People put pressure on you when you're not able to breastfeed, and that can also trigger you for having postpartum depression because now you can't breastfeed it and you don't feel like you're doing the right thing. So don't put pressure on yourself. If you're unable to breastfeed, that's okay. But if you can, then yeah, it's good to release it as well.
I think sometimes, like, it makes you feel as if you're not a mother enough
You're
because
yeah, like you
it's even a
failed.
mother's
Yeah.
show, in it. And
Yeah.
then, here you are, you can't even breastfeed your own child. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
added pressure
Yep.
sometimes
Yep.
gets so
I
tricky.
agree. I agree. And I've seen that a lot as well. They come in and they say, I'm especially so sorry to be cultured, but Nigerian family members, they come in for the therapy sessions and they say, their in-laws or their family are actually, mocking them or saying that they're not woman enough because they aren't able to breastfeed. And that's led them to have
Unnecessary.
postpartum depression.
Unnecessary.
Um, yeah, it's not, because now you're adding a whole different
Yeah.
stress onto them. So again, it just comes on if you're a family member, a mother-in-law, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, please just support the person that has just given birth. Please just support them. Just because you as a mother-in-law or a mother itself was able to breastfeed, it's okay that they aren't able to breastfeed. It doesn't make them less of a woman.
I've seen nice comments here from Messagey. She goes, as a mental health professional who does a lot of work within the community, we talk more about looking out for patterns and signs in those who have concerns.
Concern. Mm.
And I think she went on to say that what a fantastic life. Would love for you to bring, Dr. Leslie Boateng back.
Anytime she wants me back, I'll be here for
Thank
her.
you so much, Leslie.
I'll
That's a
be
nice
here for
one.
her.
Yes. And yeah, we have Apostle John Obukos is saying, wow, this is very insightful. And, many more comments. And, keep, please keep sending in your comments. And thank you. And, here we have another one, a free A. Also saying, you go, girl. Yeah, she must be maybe your fan. And also, bless your hearts also from Sarah Boateng. Many. I mean, we can read all the comments, but
yes, of course.
Doc, if there's any area that I've not covered and you want us, to, be educated on, yeah, please feel free to. Yeah.
No, I think you've honestly you've covered a lot, and honestly, again, I'm very grateful for this platform, and I love the fact that you're giving voice to women and even the men as well, especially in areas that we feel like we are lacking support. Again, all I want to emphasize is please just seek help. It's easier said than done, but the moment you do it, you will feel relieved. The help and support that you will get, it will change everything. And again, no, I will say that nobody wants to carry a baby for 9 months and then go through postpartum depression. Nobody wants that. You want to be the best for your child. You've probably planned for this baby. Just a lot of things. So seek help. Seek help so you can be the best person to that child. Seek help.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I think you've got a lot of fans that wants me to bring you back. So we'll look for another topic, and
definitely.
Anytime we knock on your door, yes, more than willing to come and support us once again. Yeah. And so to anyone that has actually stayed with us up until now, I say thank you, for your company. So in conclusion, I just want to, I would say, just reach out to many women out there. Instead of we being our own enemies, can we watch out for each other? Can we be of a source of strength, a shoulder to lean or to cry on, instead of gossiping or just talking about something that we have no knowledge, about? This is something I would say is a silent killer, that can either affect the mother or even the baby.
Yeah.
And we've seen instances where women are being chastised, stigmatized, and even beaten to death, which is so unnecessary. We need to support such women. And also to our African men, can we begin to listen and also support our women? Look out for these signs and symptoms in our, women, after giving birth and even during pregnancy time.
Yeah.
Look out, watch out, for these signs and symptoms, so that you can be empowered enough to be of a source of help to your either wife or partner after giving birth. We've lost a lot of women due to postpartum depression. Yeah. And we can't let this go on forever.
No.
And also, to our hospitals, to our Ministry of Health, and, can we have more, literature on this area? It's so, so important, whether in schools, wherever. We need to now, sensitizing, the community about postnatal depression. It's real. It's not something that is made up. It's real. And I just want to say that, I would say proactive education about postnatal depression should begin during prenatal care. Yeah. With clinicians informing expectant mothers and their families about the signs, symptoms, and potential risks associated with this condition. And also by increasing awareness, new mothers recognize, these symptoms from the onset. And so, they can seek, early, timely intervention. And also, I said that educational programs must also include prenatal, classes,
Mhm.
informational brochures, and discussions during regular medical appointments.
Yeah.
And additionally, integrating mental health screenings into postnatal depression, including
Definitely.
checkups that can help in early detection and management. Also, by fostering an environment of understanding and support,
Mhm.
in so doing, reducing the stigma associated with postnatal depression can be mitigated, encouraging more women to seek help. And then, lastly, on timely, comprehensive deterrence and educational strategies. That's so essential in reducing the incidence and also severity of postnatal depression.
Depression.
And we see, like when we do that, I hope that we can have a healthier outcomes for mothers and their infants.
Yep.
So tonight, thank you so much. I hope we'll be able to save lives.
Yes.
And I also urge each and everyone out there to share this live conversation. We've been so privileged to have our dear Dr. Leslie Boateng-Adu. She's such a busy woman, but for her to bless us with almost 1.5 hours of her time, we do not take it for granted at all. So Dr. Leslie, we say God richly bless you.
Thank
For
you.
your
God bless you
time,
too.
and we love you,
Love you too.
from the bottom of our hearts, and also for making time to educate our community. We say thank you, and we hold you so dear in our hearts. And I don't know, but we just hope and pray that your ministry in trying to empower women, will become bigger,
Amen.
and also, be able to save, more lives. Yes.
Amen.
So
Thank
thank
you very
you.
much. God bless
Yeah.
you.
Have a blessed week, and
You
until
too.
that time, take care.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.